Good morning. Welcome to another edition of MIW. Got the D-Man here, and I am glad you could join me. Today's topic is one I got from some people that I worked with for years. They own a construction company, employ hundreds of people, and their motto is go big or go home. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I like that because most of us think too small. Well, we may start out thinking really big, but then we start thinking, well, that takes a lot of money. I don't know if I can do that. We condition our desires. Don't condition your desires. You would not have that desire, a true desire. Now, I'm not talking about some flimsy desire that, oh, I want to be a millionaire. Just something that pops in your head that you really don't have any emphasis or it has no depth to it. I'm talking about your true desires, something within you that maybe you would even be afraid to tell someone about because you're afraid they would laugh at you because it's so extravagant. We don't need to think less of ourselves. We need to think more of ourselves. Better to err on the side of arrogance than to err on the side of groveling humility. Humility is not a groveling emotion or, oh, I'm not good enough, or yeah, I know I'm really not anybody. That's not humility at all. The word humility is very misunderstood. Humility is just having an understanding of who and what you really are. And 99% of us are much greater than we think we are. Even the man or woman who is arrogant, you think, and has built themselves up into something they're not. They are much more than what they really think they are. They limit themselves, and I'm not talking about the kind of arrogance that puffs itself up and they really don't believe what they're saying. For example, Muhammad Ali, it's a great example. He'd say, I'm going to show you how great I am. You know, I am the greatest, okay? I can't be beat. All the things that he said, of course he was beat. Now, whether he's the greatest or not, that depends upon your opinion. I think he was one of the greatest of all time. But I think one of the reasons he was is because he believed he was. And what he believed came to pass. And still today, he is considered one of the greatest of all times, or the greatest. And I didn't like him when I was younger because I grew up in a prejudiced household. My father was very prejudiced. He passed it on to me. And until I started boxing and working out with a lot of black men, African Americans, whatever is the correct political term, they're just like me. It's fear. Prejudice comes from fear. Fear because they're different. They look different. They're no different. We think the same things. We worked out together. They helped me. I helped them. Some of those guys were jerks to me. Some of those guys helped me. I have the greatest respect for some of them. Whether they're white, black, yellow, green, doesn't make any difference. I think about those guys nowadays and I appreciate what they did for me. But had I not had that experience of boxing and being in close proximity with people, I would have still probably had the prejudice that I was raised up with. It's a learned behavior. It's not something you're born with. It's a learned behavior, and it can be unlearned. Some of my best friends, one of them passed on, was an African American. I talked to a gentleman going to Panama one time. I was going to Colombia and I was passing through Panama, and he was from Chicago. And him and his partner, they were African Americans, and he preferred that I called him a black man. So that's what he wanted to be called. That's what he grew up with. That's what I grew up with, was the correct term. They owned a pineapple farm, I think. But there's a good example of go big or go home. But we talked, and I listened to this man, and he wanted to invest in something out of the country, and so he did. So he grew up with all that prejudice stuff and white guys during the 60s, the race riots and all that, as did I. But he got past that and he realized he's a man just like I'm a man, and the color of his skin does not matter. It's what he believes he is on the inside. We flew together for probably 2 or 3 hours, had a wonderful conversation. I'll probably never see that man again, but he made a difference in my life, as I hope I made a difference in his life. What did it matter what the color of our skin was? It did not matter. So there's a man who was going big because he wasn't going home. A pineapple farm, I had hundreds of employees, him and his partner. So did he let the color of his skin stop him? No, he didn't. And nor should you. Nor should you let anything stop you from becoming the man that you want to become, or the woman. It's up to you. But as I said when I started, don't condition your desires. And what do I mean by that? By limiting yourself, by thinking, well, yeah, I would love to have that. I would love to be that. I would love to do that. But I don't have the money. But I don't have the connections. But I don't have the education. Ad infinitum. You can go on and on with the doubts and the fears and the reasons why you can't do something. You can do whatever you desire to do. Now, are you always going to feel like doing it? No. Doesn't matter how you feel. Take the action. Do at least one thing a day, 2 things a day, 3 things a day. Decide. So I'm going to do 2 things a day that move me towards my goal, or 3 or 5, whatever. But set a number. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be reading a paragraph. It can be meditating. It can be visualizing. It could be making 1 phone call, or sending 1 letter, or listening to 1 YouTube video. An instruction towards what you want to be, have, or do. Action. Action is faith that works. What do they say? Faith without works is dead, or in layman's terms, or in non-religious terms, if you care to look at it that way, belief without action is dead. Because without action, there really is no belief. You can say you believe something, but if you believe, there's going to be action from that belief, whether it be verbal action, physical action, or mental action. There will be some kind of action associated with a true belief. I mean, all the things you see in the world did not come into being by someone visualizing or imagining it or desiring it and then just walking off and forgetting it. I mean, I believe there probably are people that can manifest things without taking action by using their mind. I don't know any personally, but I've heard they exist. I think all things are possible. But for most of us, normal human beings, such as myself, you have to take action. And once you get the desire, or you know what your desire is, you know what action to take. I like to use it, and I say it all the time. Martin Luther King. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Then the next will be revealed to you. Or another way to say it is, do the next right thing. We all know what that is. If you don't, ask God, your higher self, whatever name you choose to put on that power that resides within you and in everything in the universe, Adam, whatever. Ask that to guide you and then let it go, and it will come to you. But when it does, take action on it. Don't try to rationalize it or justify or figure it out. Just do it. It may be call Bob. Okay, just call Bob. Don't start thinking, well, Bob doesn't know anything about this. Well, how could that possibly help me? He's going to think I'm crazy. What am I going to say when I call him? Just call him. It may not even have anything to do with your goal. He may not say anything to you about your goal. You may not even discuss your goal. But what that does is that positions you to be in a completely different future timeline by you taking that action that is normally not an action you would take. It's not a habitual action. You either have success habits or failure habits. If you don't do something different today than you did yesterday, guess what? You're going to have the same thing you're going to have the same thing tomorrow you had today. To expect different results and continue to do the same thing over and over again is insanity. To expect to think differently and to continue to input the same things into your mind every day is insanity. If you want something different, you have to do something different. If you want what you've never had, you have to do what you've never done. That's simple. But most people don't. They do the same things habitually over and over and expect different results. Drive a different way home, even if it takes longer. Let's say you're getting home. It's time to pull in your driveway. Go down another block, come around, and then come home. And you're thinking, Mark, what difference does that make? It makes all the difference in the world because you've broken a habit. And that habit, whatever it is, has gotten you to where you are today. And if you don't like where you are today, you have to do something different. It doesn't have to be a magnificent, dramatic world change. Just do something different. The small things that you do every day is what determines your future, not the big things. It's like if you go broke, it's usually not the big purchase, it's the little things, the termites that slowly eat the house away. And you are the house that's being eaten away by your thoughts, your inactions, your bad habits, or your habits that don't move you in the direction where you want to go. I hate to use the term good or bad, because sometimes your bad habits or the habits that aren't moving you in the direction will get you to the point of misery where you will change your direction. So the term good or bad is relative to where it leads you in the end. If you'd like to get my help personally, Mark's Inspirational Guidance at gmail.com. Smash that like button, subscribe. We got a video coming out every day. Have a great day and change your thinking, change your life. The power is within you.